Namaskar, my dear friends. Suromurchhana has been celebrating the birth centenary of legendary Guru late Pandit A. Kanan all throughout the 2020. And we are finishing off the centenary celebration with a mega online festival starting from February 6th till March 13th, 2021. In this festival, we have great master musicians of Indian classical music, along with some wonderful young musicians. And I'm sure you will love to hear them. And and frankly, I would say that I am also pleased enough to have them in the festival. So one such fine musician, a fine violinist, is Shri Yadnesh Raikar. He's from Bombay and he has already earned a name all over the world. And from Suromurchhana, I welcome him to this little chit chat session with him. And thank you, Yadnesh Bhai, for accepting our.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely honored to be here, and in fact, be a part of the annual music festival. Uh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, Yadnesh Bhai, can we just start with a little bit of music, a wonderful music from you?
Absolutely. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I'd like to start with Hamsadwani. Just play something. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Really
Thank
wonderful.
you. Koshish. Yeah, everything's all my father's blessings and Gurujan's
Everything is
blessings.
Guru. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, you are like an elder brother,
No,
like
no,
a
no.
so senior musician to me. So performing in front of you is also
No,
much
no,
like
no,
an
no, no,
honor
it's
to
not
me.
like that.
So
Yadnis, can you put the Tanpura sound down a little bit? Yeah.
it's off. It's off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it was nice start. It was what a wonderful start. It was so heart touching. And actually, I must really tell that I thought about Yadnesh because I heard him in Udupi and way he played there, and I was practicing in the green room. I could hear his violin game he was playing, and I stopped practicing and let's listen to it. Indul Bhai was there with me. We were playing, and we said let's listen to him. So we were listening to you. So I'm very, 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 very pleased to have you in the festival. So let's start with your father was is a wonderful, again, a wonderful violinist and wonderful guru. And so how did your learning with your father, your guru, start?
Uh, it did start when I was, maybe before I was born,
Yeah.
uh, because my father used to travel a lot. Back
Yeah.
then, he used to also for his classes with V.D Dattaji and Kishori Amonkar ji.
Uh,
So he was there, and my mother used to put on cassettes of Kishori ji, Amir Khan
mm,
Saab, and D.K. Dattaji, and
mm,
master musicians. So
yes.
this was before I was born. So जिसे हम गर्भ संस्कार कहते हैं, I was being trained already.
Yeah.
So once I was born, I was initiated to tabla first, as
Wow.
a very normal kid would be attracted to a percussion instrument. I was too attracted to tabla. In fact, I learned uh, when I was 1 year old, 1.5, and I played a few small concerts with Baba as well.
Okay.
So that was 3 when seeing Baba practice and play and perform. One day I just he was practicing and the violins was right there down on the case, and I just picked it up, and it was in the natural position how a violinist should be playing a concert, or other the natural position. And for a beginner, it is more like someone has to be learning it like a guitar first, learn the finger techniques, then the bow, and then you'll ask keep it the way you usually kept it on the right leg, and the chin, everything. But I hold it in the right position. And one of Baba's students wanted me to play violin. So she gifted me when I was 2 or 3 a small violin.
Yeah.
And that's how I started violin, learning violin from my father. And
Did you?
yeah, yeah.
So one thing, since you have learned tabla, do you think how this process of learning this tabla helped you in your musical development in the later
It
years?
it did help me a lot. Honestly, it's more like uh, to be a complete musician. It is always good and great if you could learn the rhythmic aspect, and also the swar
Melodic
aspect of it,
aspect.
melodic
The
aspect of
melodic
it.
aspect.
And we make sure when students are at our academy, Raikar Academy of Violin, we ask them to either learn the rhythmic, maybe the tabla or something, or vocal. It helps, and I did the same thing. I also learned from my father's guru, my dada guru, Pandit Vasantrao Kadnekar, who was Pandit Lakshman Rao Jaipur Wale's
Oh,
disciple. So also Pratap Narayanji.
yeah.
So I got to learn vocal from him, my other guru, Anand Pednekar ji. So I started with vocal also, but
Mm,
it did help me with my gaiki, because
mm,
when I play also, when you all will listen to the rendition that I'm going to play, it's more like the gaiki style which my father has developed, learning
mm,
from his various gurus.
mm,
And so playing the gaiki on the violin, also using, also I'm sorry, I'm just interrupting and using
No, 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 no.
context, but I'm
Uh,
also learning from Pandit Arun ji.
uh,
So using the Gwalior Agra Gharanas Laikari,
uh,
that helped me. I mean, because I learned tabla. Uh, it also, I mean, I got the good hang of, uh, how a basic Laikari should be done. Of course,
mhm,
once you start learning more in detail, you'll learn the sukshma part of the Laikari and the
yeah.
sur. But learning vocal and tabla both did help me a lot.
And just one thing, like we have heard DK Datarji playing with Paluskarji, and his violin used to match so much with his singing, and we loved his violin. And sometimes we'd
Absolutely.
even would wait for when he starts playing the violin, the pieces, and wonderful sense of accompaniment too.
Absolutely.
So, so my question to you is: do you follow you people or your father or your gharana follow that style of thing, that style of playing, or you have incorporated some other forms of like from the style from the other gharanas into your music too?
Right. My father has never stopped me from, restricting myself to just one gharana, because my father has learned right from Jaipur, and he also learned Gwalior. Also, in the start, he was at Pandit B.S. Marji. So
Okay.
there it was Gwalior and also a little bit of Carnatic also.
Hmm.
So he's not restricted me to play something in one direction, but
Hmm.
he himself has developed his own gaiki style after, because uh, first he was, it was more like an instrumental form.
Um,
My grandfather was an ardent follower of Ustad Amir Khan Sahib and Kishori Amonkar ji.
hmm.
So he incorporated that style of sukoon. I wouldn't say gharana
Hmm.
or the the aspects of gharana. I would like to say the sukoon part of
Uh,
a concert.
I say that it's more of a note development rather than a phrase development, more of a note-wise
No
progression.
development, and more like how you could give, you know peace to people. Your
Yeah,
music needs to be soulful.
yeah,
It's not, I mean, now the concept of classical music has changed so much,
yeah.
and we're just trying to follow it. So my father has learned from them, and he tried to incorporate the same thing. The
Hmm.
same thing has happened with me, that I'm also, Baba plays more in the Jaipur Gharana style, because it's alap,
Hmm.
and his gaiki is more like Kishori Amonkar ji.
Hmm.
And but he never expected me to play something else, because as I told you, I've also learning. I'm learning Gwalior and Agra Gharana also, and a little bit of Carnatic violin from Dr. L. Subramaniam ji. So so I'm trying to incorporate it in my violin.
Yeah,
It is more of it is yet to come,
yeah.
but just trying to develop as much as it can.
But definitely there is a touch of Carnatic part into your music too. And there
Absolutely.
is has been in our Kirana too, we have Abdul Karim Kasab also incorporated a lot of
Right,
some patterns
right.
and in
And
like the
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And also answering your questions, I sorry, I just went off. Uh, the violin has, I mean, now there's no such one gharana to be played, because violin has come from a Western instrument, Western country. After Western, it came to Carnatic, and after Carnatic, it came to North India. So there's no specific, because each violinist you listen to, there's something different you'll be hearing.
Mhm,
Every violinist has developed something of their own, and for violinist, जैसे हम कहते हैं violinist को जो पहचान मिलती है,
mhm,
so it was not very easy back then.
mhm,
People had to accompany, as violin sarangi had to accompany. So may it be Pandit D.K. Datta ji accompanying V.D Paluskar ji, N. Rajam ji accompanying Omkar Nath Thakur ji, and Kala ji, Kala Didi accompanying Jashra ji, my father accompanying Kishori Amonkar ji. It was more, the tradition of violin accompanying vocalist was, way popular then.
yeah.
Now violin is not, it's more like a solo instrument,
Full
and
instrument,
I
yeah,
would definitely like to thank all the names which I just took, because
yeah,
of which violin also came out. Pandit
yeah.
VG Jog as well,
Jokes up,
who
yeah,
also
yeah.
gave violin a solo, uh,
Instrument.
a solo, what do you call it, uh, एक दर्जा बोलते हैं violin as a soloist instrument. It could happen,
Yeah.
and because of all these artists, because it was only as a accompanying instrument back then. But
Yeah.
now, and in fact, I'm following the same thing. I'm trying to not accompany artists, but I'm only playing solo violin only.
So to establish this into a solo instrument, it was quite a hard task that
It,
had
it
been
did it did take a long time. Yeah,
by your probably your father.
yeah,
It really took a lot of time and patience and that
absolutely.
guts to make it into a solo instrument.
Solo
So
instrument.
that's yeah, yeah. So it's nice. So your way of rendition is more of a vocal style or a khyal style, what we say. And let me ask you about your training process. So how much, how long you would, because you are also in the studies, you studied. So how long you would practice in the day? Let for the students who are of violin, let them hear how long will what
Ah,
practicing.
I mean, my father made sure that when I was early in my childhood, he made sure that I'm practicing for at least 2 hours a day. Back then, when
Yeah.
I was 3 or 4 or 5,
Mm,
he gave me a few exercises. He won't be home for a long time because he was traveling, performing, and doing his classes with his gurus.
mm,
But he made sure he told my mother that when I'm not there, you have to take care of him
yeah.
and wo Alankar, Palta, and the exercises of gamaks
Mm,
it was a 2 hour routine which I had to do. If I didn't, I mean, if suppose Baba is not home and I just go out to play, he'd make sure that when he comes back at 12 o'clock in the night, he'll sit with me till 2 p.m., 2 a.m. in the night and make sure that I practice 2 hours a day back then. And I mean, slowly, gradually, the time period, not just from two, it went to three, from four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I mean, now, I mean, there's no specific time that I practice. There's no that I'm going to practice 1 hour or 10 hours. It's going to be
mm.
when we're just sitting right here. It's going to be practice and practice. Or else, of course, now I'd like to be honest that in the COVID period I couldn't practice a lot.
Yeah.
It was kind of disturbing. But when usually it's at least that one should be practicing at least 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours for to be honest, violin is not an instrument that anyone in the young age plays because it takes a lot of time. I mean, there's a reason why it's called the king of instruments, and it's not easy. I not only violin, in fact, sarangi also.
Yeah.
Both are fretless instruments. You need the control on your left hand, on the right hand.
And these are only two instruments which are very close to vocal music. Most.
Vocal music, absolutely, absolutely, and developing the aesthetic part of the music, the vocal style. If I want to play something instrumental, then the instrumental style, and learning the gharana aspects of a particular style, then learning that. So it slowly did work, and I did practice good when I was young.
So that's how you practice. Now you have the talim of the vocal music too, and we know that you performed with Hari Haranji and Asha Bhosleji. So so how did it happen, and can you tell me about the incident?
I mean, my father knows them, my Pandit Milind Raikar ji. And
Yeah.
once it was just a basic recording that Hari Aranji was working on, and he just wanted a few more like it was not just me and both of them singing. It was me and two other friends of mine.
Okay.
It was more like we're accompanying Asha ji or Hariharan ji. I guess the
Okay.
album was composed by Hariharan Saab and it was sung by Asha Bhosle ji. So
Mm.
we were singing with Asha ji, and I mean, it was a blessed experience. Nothing more I can say.
Yeah, definitely. Such a master musician, such a master musician.
Absolutely, absolutely,
And and also you played a role of young V.D Paluskar in the film Gan Yogi. So
absolutely.
how did
I,
it
I was I
came?
was coming there because when you mentioned Dataji and Paluskar Saab's relation, I was going to come there.
Ah,
But I mean, it was. a wonderful
Actually,
project I got to
I,
work
I I
on.
would
Yeah.
I would like to say because I saw Gana Yogi and that's how I came to know about you.
Oh wow. क्या
That's how
बात
I
है.
know Yadnesh Raikar.
The requirement for the role of Paluskar Saab was because he also used to play violin. So
Yeah,
when they were looking for the role, they told Baba that, I mean, they were looking, so they just told that we need someone who also can sing and also can play the violin.
yeah.
And so that's how, I don't remember all the scenes, but I do
Hmm.
remember taking talim with V.D Paluskar ji's Petak, and it was played by Pandit Kedar Bodas ji.
Sarbadoshi.
And yeah, and I was there. There was one shot in his house or in the mandir where he used to play. I was playing the violin, and
Hmm.
I was playing the young Chotu Devi Paluskar ji. I mean, it was something I'm never going to forget. These are just golden moments of my little life that I've been living.
Yeah. Just,
So,
can you just sing a little bit for us because I not
oh,
and not as a not as a but what I want that people should know that how a violinist and how an instrumentalist give so much importance to singing just to show that to make a showcase of that thing. So I want you to sing a little bit.
uh, I'll just
Anything,
do a
anything.
little
Yeah,
alap, nothing
yeah.
more. Hmm. Mm. Uh,
Yeah, but but
just a
even
little.
no, 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 no. But definitely the haircuts that you are doing, that you even that requires a lot of talim and listening and training too. So definitely it shows that how much you are involved with vocal music, how much you have learned vocal music. And I think because of your vocal music talent, there is so much of melody and so much of thing that is that's my belief that I find
Yeah.
in your
No,
music.
it did help a lot. Like I'd like to mention a few things which my father did when,
Yeah.
because he was one of the prominent violinists who brought Gaiki into Indian violin. So because when you sing, for example, so I'm doing it
Yeah.
in one breath.
Yeah.
So what my father did, if someone has to play, I'd
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
play it and
Just
show
yeah,
it to you.
definitely,
Maybe
definitely.
that will help you. So if someone has to play it, I can also play it. Sorry, I'm changing this
Okay, yeah, yeah,
scale.
okay.
I can play it like this, but when it has to be Gaiki, I can play.
The meal, the way we
The
take the
main
meal,
and the using of full bow.
whole bow.
Basically, most of the violinists, I mean, I don't want to name anyone, but using the Gaiki word and playing it, it won't be Gaiki.
Ah,
So anyone won't be singing. It's has to be.
like a staccato.
So
Yeah, right.
it's more like what he developed, and also when he was his style of playing when he was at Datar Guruji, and changed a lot when he also came to Kishori Amonkar ji. So the sukun, the using of fingers on one
Hmm.
ala. For example, if someone has to play Rakedar, so so. But if the same thing has to be done in Baba style, it has to come on one string. because it's a continuous flow of alap.
You
So I
wonderful,
have
yeah.
to, so that's what he developed. And also I'd like to mention one thing, that playing it like this is not quite difficult, because violinists have this back problem when they sit down.
Yeah.
But my father developed this violin stand also,
Okay,
which is
okay.
more like a backrest to you, so your back is straight and there's no pain. There are a number of violinists who in fact just left violin because they were not comfortable playing it, but this did help a lot of people. So this is a few, I mean, things my father Pandit Milind Raikar ji worked on, and I'm just trying to follow the same things.
And also, in the, can you just also explain the Carnatic part that you, the Carnatic music things that you incorporate into music? Can you just explain with the playing also?
Uh, I mean, I'd like to play a little, but
Hmm.
I'm trying not to incorporate uh, total Carnatic music to my
No.
Hindustani violin. Because
Okay.
if I want to be playing Carnatic violin, I'll be playing pure Carnatic violin. If I want to play Hindustani, I'd want to be playing pure Hindustani music. And because
But
these
certain
are two
alankars,
different.
no, certain alankars, so we definitely use from the Carnatic music that the people
Absolutely,
have.
absolutely,
So I'm talking
absolutely.
about those parts, like the alankars,
Yeah,
what
and
you
also
feel
see
that,
the gamak part was mainly,
yeah,
I mean, come from Carnatic
Carnatic
music
music.
only,
Yeah,
because no one would be playing.
yeah, yeah.
This is more like Carnatic, but I mean,
Carnatic.
yeah, but that style of playing is it's more it's quite different. But being a violinist, my father has told me one thing, that I shouldn't be limiting myself to any one thing. I should be open and try to incorporate more and learn more, and just
Yeah,
keep on taking, and see what things work with me on my violin.
great. So in this, already in this young age, you have visited a lot of countries, you have taken part in a lot of international concerts. How do you feel about the audience's response in the Western, to the Western audience?
Honestly, I love the way audience react to our music in the West,
Hmm.
because I've noticed one thing. Of course, see, in India, you get the dad.
Yeah,
There are people who are going to respond to what you're playing, but in the West, I noticed one thing. For example, I and my father were in somewhere in Dallas or Florida. We were it was a 3 hour concert. We were playing, and the audience just sitting like this, closing their eyes for 3 hours, just closing and just listening to it. And when and honestly, when it was my first time, I was like, why aren't they reacting? Am I playing bad? Is there something that I'm not doing well, or is there any problem? But then they come and tell us that this is the most peaceful time we've ever had. This is how they're going to enjoy the music. And that's what I love about playing in the West or other countries. uh, but of course, these are two different, like playing for an Indian audience and playing for a Western audience is it's more like an opposite thing, but I enjoy playing both.
yeah. But definitely from the Western world, if you get like such kind of good responses from them, that it pleases you. It's some kind of satisfaction. Okay, even my, it's the beauty of, it's not beauty of ourselves as a musician, but the beauty of Indian classical
of,
music
of,
that is
of Indian classical music.
captivating them. It's it
Absolutely.
it's such a great thing that people like
Absolutely.
even the jazz musicians, any kind of musicians all over the world appreciates this kind of music, and they want to learn to. So
Absolutely.
that's so maybe you have also collaborated with some musicians, maybe with some Western musicians too.
I did work on a few, but I'm not going to name any of them, because right now I'm also working on some albums that are going to be out very soon, and
Okay.
it's more like a collaborative album that I'm working. It may
Okay.
take time. It may come out tomorrow. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the right time and just working and working. Uh, I'll be putting it out very soon. So maybe you all can connect with me, and I'll let know I've been working with.
So great, great. And we are keeping our finger crossed and waiting for this that precious moment. And 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 I would love to know from you what is your future goal and what do you want to achieve in your life? Anything
Ah,
specific?
specific. I wouldn't say goal, but my father always says that tomorrow, if someone says violin, the first name that has to come out is Yadnesh Raikar. So I believe that I should be working hard and hard and just keep learning. And maybe someday this happens that if someone says violin, it has to be Yadnesh Raikar. So uh, there's no such goal. I mean, the only goal is just give good music, peaceful music.
Yeah,
Today's music has just changed totally, and it's more been more like an entertaining aspect.
yeah.
The soulful aspect of the Indian classical music, the aesthetic part of Indian classical music is no more. I mean, I
The
won't say no more.
spiritualism,
The spirituality,
spirituality.
it's there. I won't say it's no more, but it's kind of disappearing.
Yeah.
So I would like to just just be there and make sure that I'm giving good music to people.
So how much, like, this may be a little bit controversial. How much do you believe in the fusion music?
Fusion music. For me, fusion music is not bad unless you do it well. I mean, fusion music is not you select a bandish and just put a keyboard and a drum. It's not fusion music. Fusion music is something very fusing two different cultures together.
Yeah.
If I'm working something like
Like,
Indian classical music and jazz, if I'm
yeah.
doing something rock and roll with something like Indian classical rag or Kalavati and something,
Yeah.
so then I might say that it is going to be fusion. If you're
Yeah.
just going to sing
It's like,
bandish with the drum and
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not working out.
So my belief is like it's like a Jor rag. You are singing Basant or Bahar, but taking the two
Absolutely,
harmonic together. And more of a
absolutely.
melodic fusion, not a rhythmic fusion. It's most of the
Yeah,
fusion that we see is the rhythmic fusion.
right, right,
But
right.
what I believe is to be the melodic fusion. The melodic fusion should be like the then we can call it a rather than
Absolutely,
confusion.
absolutely.
It is a
No,
total
I mean,
fusion.
I was also working on. I mean, I'm working on an album. So my father told me that just if you just go to do some normal fusion like people are doing, it makes no sense. There are thousands of people doing the same thing. Make sure
Because
that
you
you
are
give.
playing your music, he's playing his music, another one playing
Yeah,
his music, and
yeah,
just coming up together, it's a fusion. No, this is not
yeah.
a
It's
fusion.
not how it's supposed to be. If you're working on fusion, there has to be like if you're working something like jazz, make sure that there's some good jazz artists you're working with, who and there's a blending.
Blend, yes. The
So
blending matters.
yeah, so when I'm working now, I'm right now just thinking if I'm doing just pure jazz with Indian classical music, pure rock with pure Indian classical music. Maybe that's how I could call it fusion.
Okay, so do you also study the Western music also?
Not completely. My father has learned Western because he was from Goa. So,
Sure.
he's done 5 or 6 grades of Trinity College
Okay.
also. And when he was in Goa, he also learned a lot of Bollywood music. I mean, he was there, he used to perform regularly with Remo Fernandez and everyone. So he made sure that I'm left nowhere behind. I'm trained to play guitar, the keyboard, the bass guitar, the violin, the tabla, the harmonium. I mean, every sort of instrument. But learning the staff notations, I'm a little struggling on right now. But
Yeah.
I do play Western music as well.
Yeah. Let me tell you, my both the gurus were very fond of DK Dattaji, and my Guruji and Guruma were both to listen to Paluskarji. My Guruma style, if you heard her, is was a
Yeah.
mixture of my Guruji singing and Paluskarji singing.
Oh wow.
And so my request to you, can you play something of Paluskarji's bhajans or something that you definitely play?
I'll play the because now I'm just working right now until Kamud. I'll play the bandish
Yeah, yeah,
which he usually sing Koya Liya, Kole
yeah, yeah,
Hua.
yeah, क्या बात. हाँ, बहुत गा. क्या बात. हाँ,
थोड़ी
wonderful,
थोड़ी सी कोशिश.
wonderful, wonderful. And I'm sure uh, Tanpura can.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that people will be mesmerized with your performance. I know what a wonderful performer you are, and we were definitely waiting to hear you in the festival. And thanks, Yadnesh, for giving us time. And from the Suromurchhana family also, I thank you so much that you gave your precious time to us and you talked to us, talked about your experiences and everything, shared your music, your thoughts about music. Thank you again. Thank you.
I'm
Thank you so much.
absolutely honored. I'd like to thank everyone, the team, Sanjay Dada or Shampaji, the Surumorchana team, for having me. It is my honor that you've selected me as an artist to pay homage to your great guru Pandit Kanan ji and his wife Saab also. So it's just an honor, and thank you so much for having me. It's not that I'm giving my precious time. That it is my I'm honored and I'm blessed to be here, a part of this festival, along with legendary maestros and master musicians. So thanks to you and the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Yadnesh.
Taking your leave. Namaskar.
Yes, God, Sky.